it's becoming more and more obvious that Vechain's ties to China is probably why it's not on Coinbase. I mean, at this point, what else could it be? You know, I mean, I don't think there's any other logical reason other than that the Vechain's not there yet. China's heavily involved in crypto. Don't buy any of what we're being told about the Bitcoin mining ban. It's all smoke and mirrors. And here's the question that I would want everybody to ask themselves. And I know the answer to this question, but I cannot reveal the answer to this question. What did China get in return? What did China get in return? Vechain is the #1 Chinese project that has potential to pump, because from tracking wine bottles to tracking luxury goods to tracking art pieces and auctions, it does all that. I'm going to give you guys some information here that I don't think I've given on another channel before.
Welcome back, everybody, to Altcoin Daily. My name is Aaron, joined with my brother Austin. Our guest today is the great, the powerful founder, CEO of one of the largest, best crypto YouTube channels out there, BitBoy Crypto. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Anytime I get to come on the channel and chat with you guys, we love it. We love having you guys, you know, on around the blockchain. And, we haven't had you guys on there together yet, I don't think. Maybe we'll do that one day. That would be a great show. But thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. That'd be awesome. Break the internet, as they say. And congrats on all the success of your channel. The reason, I'm glad to have you on today, because there's two, we like to listen to, our audience, people in the comments. I know you do too. There's really two main things people have been commenting lately. Number one, hey, you need to get BitBoy back on the channel. Yes. And number two, hey, talk about Vechain a little bit more. Well, actually, it's been a number of different cryptocurrencies. We're reading the comments right now. But anyway, dude, let's jump right into it, because we're here to pick your brain on Vechain. I know you have a lot to say. So in a time and a space where cryptocurrency is exploding, there's demand for hard money, Bitcoin, there's demand for Ethereum and open source platforms, NFTs, decentralized finance. Where does Vechain fit in? Is it just as much part of the conversation? Vechain is a Chinese-based supply chain management cryptocurrency. They've been around for a while. They're kind of like a blue chip in their own niche. Mm-hmm. What do you think about Vechain?
Yeah, well, I've been extremely bullish on Vechain for years now, going back all the way to 2018. Back when I think the ticker symbol was VEN. It was VEN back then before they changed it to VET. I think that's when they went on their mainnet. So I've been following them for a long time. I actually got a rap video with some Vechain lines in it from early back in the day, 2018, when the channel was just cartoons. But here's the thing. There's a lot to unpack with Vechain, but I really want to address the first thing you said, which is, can Vechain really compete in a world where we're having smart contract platforms and other kinds of niches that are really rising? The safest bet in all of crypto is smart contract platforms. If you look at that niche and investing in those over periods of times, they yield very high results. So of course, I'm talking about Cardano, Ethereum, Solana, which has been crushing it lately, Elrond, kind of a dark horse. Tezos hasn't fared quite as well, but you look at Avalanche. You look at a lot of these different projects, and I'm sure I left Dot and Kusama, yeah, definitely fit that as well. But the thing is, when you get outside smart contract platforms, I think it's really important, and I would say DeFi kind of fitting underneath that because it's interwoven with those platforms. It's important to find individual projects that just absolutely crush their niche. You look at Chainlink. There is nothing close to Chainlink in the Oracle's niche. You look at, payments. Of course, you got XRP and XLM, XRP crushing XLM right now. You got AMP kind of coming up in the background. But XRP, I believe, is going to rise up and be the king of that by a long shot. When you look at supply chain tracking, Vechain destroys every other project. There's nothing even close to it. We've done some work with a project called Doc, which is a tracking platform that's kind of similar. We think it's got a lot of potential as a low cap coin, but it can't touch Vechain right now. Nothing can. And so when you're looking at a coin that's that much of a leader in its space, I don't think that only bodes well for it in the bull market, but I think these are some of the strongest projects, not only to accumulate in the bear market, but also to be a little better hold during the bear market. If you look at Chainlink, for instance, then its use case with the oracles and stuff like that, it killed it through the whole bear market. And I think Vechain can see something very similar.
totally agree with what you're saying in terms of Vechain is still making progress. They are still implementing. The only criticism that I could think of, and I think this is fair, that it is more centralized compared to maybe an Ethereum in the sense that it's proof of authority, meaning that the Vechain Foundation, they'll make sure they know who's running the nodes, and that limited amount of nodes will validate. And the only reason I say, is this potentially an issue, is because usually the Chinese government has their hand in a lot of these big Chinese companies. Does this concern you?
Not at all. And in fact, well, does it concern me for the price in the use case? Not at all. Now, does it concern me from a centralization standpoint? Anytime China's involved, absolutely. I mean, I would say it's becoming more and more obvious that Vechain's ties to China is probably why it's not on Coinbase. I mean, at this point, what else could it be? You know, I mean, I don't think there's any other logical reason other than that the Vechain's not there yet. But when you look at what China has gone on, and I'm going to give you guys some information here that I don't think I've given on another channel before about China and their Bitcoin mining ban. I've gotten a lot of clarification on what's going on with the Bitcoin mining ban in China. And this is relevant to this conversation because while they continue to clamp down on Bitcoin to push their digital yuan, they continue to push down on many crypto projects, Bitcoin mining, crypto mining in general in China. They're doing that, and that's going to actually benefit Vechain because they're working with Vechain. So Vechain, and there are a few other projects in China that they really tend to like, and they've got the Chinese rankings. You know, you guys can go back and look at, many years of that history to see the projects that they're favorable on. But when it comes to the Bitcoin mining ban, what happened with that is that there are forces in this world that are bigger than China, much bigger than China. China is a pawn to the real money in the world, the centralized bankers of the world, the financial cartel, as I call them. China was forced to make that rule with the Bitcoin mining so the hash rate could spread out to other places. So what you're seeing is, because it was very weird, right? Like all of a sudden, like the mayor of Miami was like, hey, if you're in China, come to Miami and mine Bitcoin. You saw other countries saying, hey, come to Canada and mine Bitcoin, which there's a lot of China infiltration into Canada, which is another story. But I said this on my stream, I was like, this doesn't make sense. You can't just, if you're a Chinese citizen, you can't just get up and move to another country to mine Bitcoin. You have to have permission. So what China did is they strategically started sending their miners to other countries. So yes, the hash rate is being shared and it's going to other countries, but really China is still in control of a lot of that. And also, not only that, but of course, China has a stranglehold on the Bitcoin mining industry in terms of equipment and devices. So they're also, even if it's not happening in their country, they're making money on it across the board. And here's the question that I would want everybody to ask themselves. And I know the answer to this question, but I cannot reveal the answer to this question. What did China get in return? What did China get in return for giving up all this hash rate? So I know I kind of went on a tangent there. It's not necessarily related to Vechain other than to say China's heavily involved in crypto. Don't buy any of what we're being told about the Bitcoin mining ban. It's all smoke and mirrors. Vechain is the #1 Chinese project that has potential to pump because they're not seeing the clamp down on Vechain that they're putting on other projects. So yes, there could be a little war developing almost between, United States exchanges maybe not taking Vechain, and that could be not super beneficial for the price. But they're not going to be resistant to using the technology if it works. And well, we know there's one thing China loves is surveillance, right? So I don't know, maybe something to think about there too.
Damn right, man. That's a lot to think about. I'm interested to know what the audience thinks. Comment below. And if you appreciate us having BitBoy on, smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to BitBoy. Link to his channel in the description. Subscribe to us because the conversation's a lot more than just this video. But let's get right down to it. You mentioned price. Speaking of price, I think a lot of people, this is not just my thoughts, I think a lot of people have been noticing that the Vechain price seems to have had a trend change recently. Possibly the weak hands have all sold. We're in the maturing stages of the bull market, starting to look a little bit more bullish. What do you think either this year or this cycle? What are your thoughts on the price of Vechain?
Yeah, so as a lot of people know that follow my channel, I've had a change. I don't change my opinion very often unless I get new information. And I now believe that the top of Bitcoin is $100,000. It may go up to 120 at the highest. Brakes are getting slammed on that thing, as I say, by the financial cartel. They don't want Bitcoin to go to $300,000 like I had predicted, because if it did, nobody would ever invest in the stock market again. So the financial cartel has to keep a balance between all things. I bring all that up to say the Bitcoin price and the Ethereum price obviously have a big effect on price predictions on all the coins down below that. So there were people like Simon Dedek of BlockFire who believe that Vechain can get to $2 in this cycle. Right now it's sitting at 12 cents. It peaked out at 25 cents back on April 17th. Yeah, April 17th, 25 cents. So at 25 cents in May, it looked like, hey, that was actually possible. Maybe it could get back up to, maybe it could get to $2. My prediction was always $1 per Vechain for this cycle. I would say, though, now I do not believe it will hit $1 in this cycle. Vechain did not hold as well as many of the other projects during the crash, maybe because it had been on such a parabolic move. I think a good price target still for this bull run, it could hit $1, but I think 60 to 75 cents is probably where you want to be looking at right now for Vechain, for the rest of this year. Or not the rest of the year, but by the end of this cycle, I believe we'll, and probably in November for altcoins.
Interesting. And well, obviously, and then my next obvious question, which we love asking, guests, and whenever you come on, is, how many would you maybe need to be financially stable? Obviously, if it hits $1, you would need 1 million of them, and you'd have $1 million. But I want to talk realistic. If it goes to those levels, how many Vechain would you say the average person needs to be wealthy?
Well, I would say if you have 250,000 over the next 8 years, you have a good shot, because that would put the numbers as something very reasonable for a pump over the long term. Obviously, yeah, if it goes to $1 during this cycle, then yeah, that's great. It would be $1 million if you had 1 million Vechain, but I don't know if it's going to end up with that nice round number. But I believe that Vechain is going to at least 4x its all-time high this cycle in the next cycle. I think we could, Vechain could be, depending on what happens in the supply chain world. I mean, the use case is so out the roof for Vechain. And then not only that, but it's got a lot of fans. It's got a big community. When you look at how much, is getting exported from China, if you look at all the different, from tracking wine bottles to tracking luxury goods to tracking art pieces and auctions, it does all that. They say from farm to table, basically. It can track food, pharmaceuticals, all that stuff. I think the next cycle really could be Vechain's, cycle once we have a lot more smart contract platforms it's integrated with, because that will certainly be coming at some point. I think that 250,000 could be a number over the next, I said 8 years, but the next 4 to 8 years by the end of the next cycle that we look at. And I would say to people, it would definitely be good to accumulate this one in the bear market, like I mentioned earlier.
And you have a portion of your portfolio in Vechain?
Yeah, I think we were looking the other day because it hasn't held as well as some of the other ones. It at one time was our number 6 coin in our portfolio. That would have been behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Binance Coin, and Polkadot. Those were our top 5. It actually was number 6, but right now it's sitting at number 11 because it just hasn't held as well or bounced back as high as many of those other ones have. But I think it will.
I love it. BitBoy. I mean, there's so much more we could talk about. We have a conversation like this every week on your channel for Around the Blockchain. You talk about stuff like this every day, as do we. So we'll just have to continue this conversation at a later date. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, comment your thoughts below, because honestly, it's not just about what we think. It's about, what do the people who've been in this space a while think? Thank you for coming on, BitBoy. Final thoughts for the Altcoin Daily audience.
Yeah, I thought I just pulled up my portfolio. So I thought I'd just tell everybody, we're very transparent on the channel. Tell everybody how much we have. We have 2.215 million Vechain. So that's how many we got. And we certainly appreciate you guys coming on Around the Blockchain every week. If you guys want to check them out, make sure to check out my channel just because you want to see them come there and verbally lash me.
That's right.
That's the fun of it.
All right. Hey, great episode. Ben, thank you.